Welcome to Budget Build Garage. Today we show you how to replace head gaskets. Well, we took the head off just so it was easier to film and more light in here. We're gonna do the head gaskets. Head gaskets.
We took the hood off.
Took the hood off. The hood is off.
You said the head.
I took the head? I said the head.
It's okay.
Ah, keep all that. That's perfect. Anyways, so we took the hood off just to get more light and make it easier to film, really. You don't have to do that. But we're doing head gaskets. When I pulled that valve cover and painted it, made it look pretty, I noticed that it was on the top of it. It was all kind of milky on the inside. And one of the back cylinders, one of the back two, you can tell, was kind of watery and gross, but it's not really all that bad. Head gasket's a pretty involved job, but really it's actually not that hard of a job. I guess it's kind of intimidating, but really, if you take your time and just kind of do everything, it's a relatively inexpensive job. I think head gaskets and new valve cover gaskets, you're still under $100, even for, you know, kind of decent ones, not junk ones. So we're really just going to start tearing stuff off the engine that has to go, like the alternator, intake manifold, all that needs to go. So yeah, I guess we'll kind of get to it. Starting with the alternator. Let me get the wire off. Also, undo your battery when you're, you know, messing around with other stuff. Listen strip too. Like, why is this fuel line bolted to the alternator? Jesus Christ.
Long fucking bolt.
Yeah, always like that. That's okay. Yep, there you go, kill him again. I don't know why anybody would not do it this way. It's just so easy to do. So we're going to start tearing apart some of the good stuff. We're going to pull the distributor out, but before we pull out the distributor, I want to put it at least close to top dead center. So Taylor and I are going to show you how to ballpark it. You're going to remove the spark plug on the number one cylinder. Why are you short? Like so. You're going to put your thumb over the hole that the spark plug came out of, and then I'm going to rotate the motor over. When you rotate it, once a gust of air pushes your thumb off that hole, you are very close to top dead center. The rotor should be pointing close to number one cylinder, and we'll be there. We'll mark where that is, and we'll put it all back into the same spot, and it should be pretty close, and we'll just throw a timing light on it and see it from there. So I'll slide under there, and Taylor, cover up that hole with your thumb.
Feel it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Already? Yeah. I think that was close. That was really close.
I feel air. I don't know if it's...
I think our other problem was assuming this thing was ever timed right. It ran pretty good though. But really, I mean, we were doing it like a mile. So I'm going to go around again. All the way around. And then right when it hits, let me know. Well, right here it's just kind of milky, kind of watery. But yeah, there's our problem. I'm thinking it's right here. That cylinder. Alright, here, put this. If you are fairly sure that your car is timed, distributor's in right, you can take a marker and put a mark on it. Line up exactly where it goes. As long as you don't rotate the crank over or anything, it should drop right back in where it was. And I don't think ours is right, so I'm going to change everything. But if you know yours is good, make a mark with a pen. It'll come right off with, like, you know, some sort of cleanser, and then it'll make putting it back together a lot easier. And I guess I'll just continue taking shit apart. That's awesome. First, you don't succeed, get a bigger wrench. Alright, cool. See this? That's all milky right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I know we got a blown head gasket. Cool. Alright. We have this fuel line. Awesome, dude. It's going. Most of it's going in that bucket. Only some of it's on the floor. Hey, none. That's awesome. Let's toss this down on the floor. Alright, so all we got left is the throttle cable, and then, what, like 102 bolts on the intake manifold. We'll pull that off. The headers, and then we'll start taking the head off. It's going to be fun. The amount of cocaine.
Required.
Yeah, to come up with some of the cooler shit we found on this thing. Alright, I need a pry bar. Oh, there you go.
Super light.
It's not too bad.
Is it not? Ooh, there you go.
That's all over me. Nice.
Nice. That's definitely what she said.
She's like, oh, it's on my face. I was like, yeah, it is.
Nice.
Nice. There we go. Hear all that water just flooding in.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that was a lot of water in that block. Also, you're going to have to change your oil. You obviously have intake and exhaust ports and everything, but you have water jackets throughout the block. So water flows through the radiator, you know, from the water pump into the engine block, through the heads and everything to keep everything cold. That's basically why your engine doesn't overheat. Unless you have a Volkswagen, in which case it doesn't overheat because it makes like 10 horsepower.
Sick burn.
Sick burn. So
Okay.
Joey, if you're watching, your Volkswagen sucks. I'm just kidding, Joey. You're cool.
We got the intake off.
Accessories are out of the way.
Where are we going from here?
We gotta unbolt the header enough that we can pull it away, and then basically pop all the rockers off, all the push rods out, unbolt the heads, and pull it off. And then from there we just clean them, put it all back together. That's probably it for right now, though. We'll come back at it tomorrow morning. Let's go get food and do other stuff.
Sounds good. So eat some burritos. That's what I'm thinking.
Yep. Cool. Actually, I went pretty well. I'm gonna rinse the whole thing out anyway, so I'll clean it all out. Yeah, let's just let that soak overnight. Yo! Yo! No. Alright, so it's day 2. We didn't get a whole lot done in day 1. We had like an hour. We were just hanging out. We were like, let's get started. So today's really day 1, but that's alright. We took off all the accessories before, the intake and everything. All I've done now is make this cool box and start so I can show you this. Basically, I cut this thing in half, you know, in your mind at least, there's a line down it. And I made a box basically for each cylinder. And each box will be your spark plug, your push rods, and your rockers, everything, the nut, the bolt, everything. Everything needs to go back exactly the way it came in. So up and down orientation, make sure intake and exhaust. So imagine this is your engine. So you got your firing order, you know, your piston numbers, you're looking at it, or you can just put driver's side and passenger side. It should all go back exactly how it goes in. And really, as long as you do that, you're good. So you can buy cool trays that do all this for you, but they're like cost money. Whereas this box came from Jegs with stuff in it. So it's just like, why not use the box? And then you can just throw it away after and you don't have to store it. Yeah. No, I like that.
So we're just we're doing the driver's side now.
Yeah, we'll do the driver's side, pull the plugs, and then take everything apart.
Hey guys. Alright, so right now we're going to be taking off the spark plugs so we can get the headers off and all that such, so let's get to it.
Let's get straight into it.
Let's get straight into it. Now fuck you, now fuck you.
I love the Aussie man reviews. That guy's the best.
I've seen one time.
Oh dude, when I'm bored at work, I watch him.
Oh, I gotta memorize these.
No, I wrote them down.
Okay.
I'll put it over here.
Well, this one, I'm just going over that.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
There you go. Oh, sorry, GoPro. Alright, spark plugs are a go.
Well, I think our problem is in the number 5 cylinder. So if you look at the top of the head in the valley, you can see that it's yellow. Do me a favor, Taylor. Point to some yellowness. Dude, you're awful. Well, you can't see it from that end.
I should point to some yellow.
Okay, if you look, yeah, right there. Now move your wrench over. Right there. Cool, perfect. See where Taylor's wrench is? You can see some yellow on that head. Now, I believe he took those heads off to paint them for whatever reason. Otherwise, it wouldn't be yellow, because it's not like this thing came yellow.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think it came yellow. I really, really don't. I believe he took the heads off, painted them yellow, put them back in, and used the same head bolts, and didn't put any like thread sealer or anything on there. And I think water's coming up through the bolts. That's just a guess. When we pull the heads off, we'll try to pull them off slow so we don't like mess the gasket up as it's coming off, but it usually messes up as it's coming off. To kind of see if I'm right. We'll find that out.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6.
Dude, nobody wants to hear you fucking sing that shit. Like, everybody knows. When you work on cars, you listen to death metal. It depends on your era of car. Like, if you're working on, like, an 80s Trans Am, then, like, it's like White Snake or Poison.
Right, but I would have needed to cut my sideburns for that.
Oh, yeah. The sideburns are awesome.
You can start calling me Sideburns.
Yeah.
What's up, Sideburns?
What's up, sideburns? You should. Oh, you did shave them. They were so funny, dude.
Hell yeah, I shaved them. I get berated over at your mom's house. They told me I'm not gonna shave them.
Dude, you showed up with some awesome chops to a family event. You weren't not gonna get bombed on.
I don't know. I'm new here.
Julia was like, I like them, and everyone was like, well, you're the only one.
She's the only one to hang out with.
She said they
She's
were
my
cool.
only friend.
Also, there's a magnet right there.
Where?
On the opposite side of where you're looking.
Oh. Does it? The belts don't matter.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure if you watch that show. Like, I know you wear a lot of shirts from Rick and Morty, but I figure that's just because you're a poser.
You know what? It's funny. I was all like, you know, around Christmas time, everyone was like, oh, what does Nick want? It's my wife. And she's like, I don't know, like a cool t-shirt or something. Do you like Rick and Morty? She's like, sure. And now I have like 10 Rick and Morty shirts. I mean, I like the show. I don't need like the whole collection.
Yeah, I pretty much own every single Rick and Morty shirt.
Yeah, it's
I'm
like,
a fan.
that's kind of how I feel. Like, dude, I own like 10 of these. But then again, I'm super stoked because I have a bunch of t-shirts.
They're not bad t-shirts.
Yeah. Like, the only way I would say I didn't own it, and like we were partners, is to pay rent. Since the dog ain't paying rent.
But nor do babies.
Yeah, but I think until like,
You want a baby?
I think until
If
it
you
gets like
adopt
its
a
driver's
baby, you
license,
own
maybe. Like, you know, like
The
at,
baby gets its driver's license.
like at some point it's like it's your baby, and then like at some point it becomes its own like thing. But
Look, I'm not comparing my dogs to babies, but I'm just saying they're kind of the same thing.
yeah. I don't know anything about video editing. Yo, if you're watching this, I have never edited this. Also, if the camera's shaky, I'm holding it. If we out of focus, I'm holding it. I don't know how to... I don't know.
Anytime something goes wrong.
Yeah, it's me on the camera.
White balance is off.
Yep. I do not know how to camera. I do not know how to computer.
Do you know how to computer?
Yeah, for like porn. I mean, taxes. And unfortunately, Taylor, we may be pulling this out. We can't get to the bolts.
I could do that.
Yeah, so slide under the. They're actually already. They're finger tightened actually already. So not that big of a deal. Pretty much.
So we drove all the way here with it, so it's not terrible.
So wait, you know when people say Main Street, you automatically assume the Main Street in your city, but you mean the Main Street in your city?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Proper Main Street.
Do you guys have a Main Street?
It's not very.
It's just like a couple tumbleweeds, like a pitchfork salesman.
There's like a saloon.
Yeah, this is an old-timey saloon.
We have the post office, that's also the sheriff's station.
Yeah, is it really? We're gonna pull this head off. Depending how paranoid you want to be about breaking all these loose, you can kind of break them all loose slowly, or you can reverse the torque spec if you want. We printed this bad boy up. It's awesome.
Should I zoom into it?
You can if you want. I would.
Lower it. Beautiful.
So you could go backwards on this, crack it and moves that way. That way you know the head won't warp. Especially if you're using like an aluminum head, you want to be really paranoid about all that money you got invested in those. You could do it slowly, crack them all loose in that order, and then pull them off. You know. Don't be like Roadkill, just hitting them with the impact gun, because you don't have a sponsor. You need to reuse that stuff. It needs to work. It needs to work for more than one episode.
Just calling out Roadkill.
Not really. I'm just saying it's like they do that shit and you're like, oh, that's cool, but at the end of the day, like they drive it for like 5 minutes and you're like, well, now what? You don't get to see that they just don't work. But whatever. I'm not talking shit. That show's awesome. Just gonna crack each one just a bit. Yeah, fuck you. I don't know if I want to deal with this anymore. I think I'm going to try and get this header out. You have to be high enough that they can like droop all crazy. Alright, so we lifted the front end of this thing high enough that I can just maneuver the header instead of pulling it out. Because the oil dipstick is here, steering shaft is here. Can't get it out really without really taking some stuff apart. But it's high enough now that I can tilt it and get an angle without it hitting the ground or something and actually get to the bolts. So we should be good. I want to continue listening to these things. How many hours of the night? Julie's gonna yell at you.
What happened Wednesday? What's the problem?
No problem. I'm just wondering if, like I was saying earlier, that I don't think you put any thread sealer on the bolts. I'm interested. Make them all pretty.
Yeah.
I agree. You know? I feel a little bad about that.
Hours.
I'm like trying to lift this thing very gently. I don't want to destroy the gaskets. I'd like to look at it. I'd like to see if I was right.
Yeah, it's definitely going.
I don't want to.
Now?
I don't want to rip it. Yeah, actually, there's actually Dana can. There's in the back of this bed. Ah, I totally bumped that GoPro. There's a black like cement mixing bucket. Hand me that.
Just don't touch my shirt.
Awesome. Here, check this out. This engine looks fantastic, dude. I'm not gonna lie, this is fucking awesome. Zero ring ridge. And like I said, I don't actually think. So there's water in this. This is just because when we picked it up, it put a bunch of water out of it. So this wasn't in there. Everything here is super awesome and clean, and I'm very happy with this. There's not like a ton of nasty carbon or anything, and there's no ring ridge at all. You can still see how smooth the bore is on the cylinders. You can still see the crosshatch, and this is good, dude. This engine's awesome. I'm stoked. But like I was saying, you don't see any damage at all in the gasket at all. I really do think he probably used the old bolts and it was just seeping through the bolts. Dude, I'm pumped on this. This is going to take very little cleaning. Cool. Let's take this thing off. The valves look good too. Nice even burn on them. I am super stoked. Even in here, there's not like a ton of carbon or anything. Let's see. Roll these over. Yeah, man. Let me get a flashlight, see how much we can actually see. The valve down in here. Let me get a screwdriver for you. Like there's no nasty gunky buildup right there really, just a bit of carbon, which is normal. And we'll clean that up with a bit of brake cleaner and a brush. Dude, this thing's awesome. Bit of brake clean, that's it. One of these. Everything actually wiped off really nice. And the reason we were doing this, we had to clean the whole thing of course. That's what I was looking for. I don't know if you can see that number. There's an actual whole number here. Let's see if I can. You know what's messed up? The yellow's really growing on me. Like now that we made the valve covers black, the yellow's not so bad as a contrast, and I just like it.
I always like that. That was never going to.
Well, I think we're going to give it another coat of yellow now.
Wow. That is a turnaround.
Yeah. That's not nearly as good as the other one. Alright, so, once your head's off, looks awesome. You gotta start cleaning it. You can use brake cleaner or like a denatured alcohol of some sort, a bunch of blue shop rags, and like a Scotch-Brite. Let this do most of the work when you're scrubbing at it. Don't really put a ton of elbow grease in it. It's gonna take a while, you know, and you're gonna have to make 1,000,002 passes, but it will be clean. And once it's clean and looking all mirrory and shiny, do the same to the block. I'll show you some of that soon too. You want perfectly clean surfaces when you put in your gasket, otherwise it's just going to leak again. Yeah. So yeah, I'll get after that. You don't need to see me do that all day, and then we'll do a little bit on that block too.
So
I don't think it.
Gasket.
Yeah, I don't think it was leaking. I think it was leaking through the bolts because like there really was very little milkiness, but like I did check. We cleaned it out. This is the top of the valve cover, so we cleaned it out. And we went and drove it, and there was nothing. We drove it, and then like a little tiny bit was splashed at the top of the valve cover on the far cylinders. So like, I was thinking like number 7 probably had a bolt through it. He probably didn't put the sealer on the bolt. Probably used the same ones, which we are not gonna do.
That was when we put new bolts on.
Yeah, which we do have. So yeah, I don't think the head gasket itself was leaking. I think it was coming up through the bolts. So that's it for the teardown portion. I got about 4 or 5 hours worth of cleaning and scrubbing and making these pretty. We'll be back on the next episode to do the reinstallation of everything.